Hello, I'm the War Nerd, and this is another video where I'm covering one of my projects, side projects. I'm a bit ill today. We're currently going through the coronavirus pandemic at the minute. I might even have it, I don't know, I'm not sure, I just feel very under the weather. But in the meantime, yesterday, I think if you've been a viewer of this channel, you might have seen that I did a project about a month or so ago, generating a quote from a philosopher called Cioran. Well, I basically just rounded that little project off, so I thought I'd show you guys what I did, how I wrote it, how the code is structured. I'll start off by showing the actual project first. So this project was built in React. It's basically a web app that selects random quotes from a quote bank from Cioran based on a mood that you select. For that, you basically just select. But anyway, if I demonstrate it, it'll become a lot more obvious what I mean, I think. Okay, so let's get the actual app up. So this is it. Full screen that shit. Okay, so this is it. So you've got, it's very basic. I mean, it's just a basic app, really. It's not very complicated. Mostly just an exercise for me to demonstrate using React. But I thought I'd finish it off anyway because I've got a bit of extra time now. Let's refresh that. Okay, so we've got this like glow effect on the image itself, which is just really just aesthetic thing I just added in there. What the basic function of the app is, so you choose a quote, a mood, generate a quote, click the generate a quote button, and it just generates a quote from a quote bank. So pessimistic, or you've got nihilistic. Seems quite appropriate now, given that we're in a very dark time, as it were. So yeah, and Cioran's got this way of talking, like, however much I've frequented the mystics deep down, I've always sided with the devil. Unable to equal him in power, I've tried to be worthy of him, at least in insolence, acrimony, arbitrariness, and caprice. So he's an interesting philosopher. There's a bit of a very short biography there, and yeah, it's a very simple app. But I'm going to show a bit of what the code is behind this. So I used Create React App for this just because it's a very fast way of getting something up and running without having to mess around with React too much. Let's have a look at the main code. So I'll look at two main things. So there's no real components in this, it's just one all on one page. And then we've got CSS, the app CSS, because where most of the CSS is contained. I apologise if I found a bit strained, I'm just ill at the minute. Very under the weather. Okay, so let's look at this from the top. I'll just talk about what's going on here. So of course, obviously at the top we've got just the class app. Let's go into that too much. So these are the states we have. Simply two states, mood and quote. So quote is just, we set it first as select a mood to see a quote, which is just the initial, so I'll show that, that's just the initial state of the thing. So if we go to here, select a mood to see a quote, so that's the initial state, just setting it to that. And then we've got mood, which initially is just set to nothing because initially the user hasn't selected anything. Not too hard to understand there if you understand how to manage state in React. We have some events here, so these are when the user these are basically the binding the events for when the user clicks on the different moods. I've just naming conventions a bit weird, but I've called it change to M, change to A, change to T, just for the sake of speed, really, I guess. And the way I've done the actual selecting a random quotes is, I'm not using any server-side stuff. It's all just generated on the page. So I've just created an array with like usually 5 or 6 quotes in. So it's just literally an array with 6 or 7 items usually, sometimes even less. Obviously, if we were doing this some other way, you'd probably use an Express API or something, but it's just, all it is like 6 or 7 or 8, 10 quotes max. So just figured I'd do this. Then we've got some JavaScript maths here for selecting a random quote. So yeah, it's just random times the length of that array, and then it's just setting the state to the the quote to the random quote. So what's typically happening here? So if we go to where the actual JSX is, which is if you're not familiar with React, is where you actually put the layout down, the markup and all that, which is here. So it starts here. I think I'm using React Strap. So React Strap's like a bootstrap for React. So that's what container is there. Row, column, that's just all the markup for defining the layout. So you've got this on this side, this on this side. I'll just show quickly. So all we've got here is very basic, it's just a row, container, one row, and then column A, column B. That's basically as basic as the layout is, and this is like 40, 60 I think. Anyway, it's probably not perfect, I've done this quite fast. Okay, so what next? So there we've got just column 4, some margins, and then yeah, this is the on-click events. So like I was explaining before, bindings for those are up at the top, change to M to melancholic, change to A, angry, blah blah blah. And the way that the actual and the main function of the entire app actually is generate quote, which switches, so this switches the state. So let's just explain that bit first. So the change to M, change to A, etc. simply defines a variable const melancholic or angry, whatever the mood is, and then I just do a set state to change the state to whatever that const has been set to in the function. So that's that. That's pretty simple. And then for the actual setting of the generating the quote, I would have to use the switch statement. It's not something I've been doing as much, but I did it in this. So it just simply the switch statement checks for the state of mood, and then obviously because you switched it, when you click the buttons, you got case melancholic, angry, in different cases, which is not. It's probably a half decent way of doing that, I think. I mean, obviously, if there was hundreds of these things, it'd be complicated, but there's only 7 or something, so it sort of works. And yeah, that's the most of the app really. And then you've got obviously this state mood for showing them a mood. If I just show that, so that would be here. The mood is you just go thoughtful, just shows whatever you've selected, because you've already set the state in that part. Whenever this event's triggered, it sets that state to the mood state to somber, the mood state to nihilistic, blah blah blah, and generating the quotes. One thing that could be improved with this actually is if I now change it to angry and it's nihilistic quote, unless till I click generate a quote, it doesn't actually. That's a funny one. Man, it's a robot with defects. It doesn't actually change straight away. You have to manually click, so it should probably automate that process somehow, but something else to do maybe in the future. And obviously that bit there is where the quote gets changed. So when it gets changed up here, so when it gets the set state changed within this generate quote function, so it'll change. So that's that. There's not much more to it really. I'll look at some of the CSS quickly. So I'll put that all in app CSS. Not all of this is even used even, but main thing in here is just import some font styles in, and the quote bubble, which is just for this. So I added some border around here, and then added a glow on Cioran's picture, which adds a little bit of atmosphere to the page. And that's that really. It's just a Cioran simple quote generator. You can view the source below if you want to look at it. Quite a simple project really, nothing too complicated. Mostly did it, like I said, started it off as an exercise in just teaching about the basic concepts of React, and you'll see that the React tutorial I did, I don't know, something like a month ago. Yeah, that's that. That's my latest project that I just finished off. I've had time to. I hope they'll be much better when I do my next video. I'm just very, at the minute, very ill. It's horrible about this whole coronavirus thing. But anyway, hopefully everything will be better later. I hope you found that informative. I hope you got something out of it. Leave any comments you might have below. Is there any better way to do stuff? Do you think it was interesting? That's all.